to lesson 3-4 on graphing in the coordinate plane. So we have got some important vocab for you today. Here we have a coordinate plane is a grid formed by the intersection of two number lines. We have a horizontal number line right here, and we have a vertical number line right here. And we call all of this area the coordinate plane. The y-axis is the vertical number line. And sometimes I remember that by drawing a y up here, like this line just turns into the y. And the x-axis is a horizontal number line. And I've done that before as like a little guy running on the x-axis. And a part of why I did that is because the x comes first when we write a numbered pair or an ordered pair. And so we're always going to run into a building before we take the elevator up or down. The y-axis is going to be like the elevator, and the x-axis is the street that he runs on. That's really, really important to know. So the quadrants are labeled with Roman numerals, and we always start here in the upper right. Our natural inclination is to want to start here because when we read, we always start on the left side. But remember that this is quadrant 1. One way that in the past I've helped students to remember that is to think of a C, a letter C. So if you were to draw a letter C over this, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is the way that you number the quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. The little 0 right here stands for origin, and that's where the two number lines cross. Okay, so these numbers are going to be positive. In quadrant 1, you're going to have a positive number and another positive number. In quadrant 2, you would have a negative number and then a positive number. In quadrant 3, there's going to be two negative numbers. And in quadrant 4 will happen when you have a positive number and then a negative number. An ordered pair is shown by x, y, and x is going to be the where we go to on the x-axis, and then the y is going to be where we go to on the y-axis, gives us the coordinates of the location of a point. In the graph above, point A has coordinates 2, -4. So if we were to go to 2, 1, 2 on the x, we ran 2 on the x, and then down to -4, it would be like taking an elevator down to -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We come across this point that's labeled with a dot, and then it has A written next to it to show us that that's what they're talking about. You can graph a point when you know its coordinates. So let's do some examples together. One type of example might ask you to graph a point and it'll give you the coordinates, like in this example. So here I have point A is at -2, 3. So remember, this is x, y. So the first number is going to be how far we run in either direction. So I'm starting at my origin and I'm going to go to -2. So that means I'm going to run backwards 1, 2 spaces. And then I'm going to rise 3 spaces because my y is 3, +3. 1, 2, 3. I'll make a little point and I'll label it A. Let's do B. B is -3, -2. So again, I'm starting at the origin. I'm running -3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm dropping -2, 1, 2. And that point I will label B. Point C is +2, 1.5. So my x is +2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to rise 1.5, 1.5, and that will be C. There also may be examples that ask you to name, which means you're going to give the coordinates for a point. So point D is right here. To find where I am for point D, I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to figure out first, remember I ran first in the other one, so I'm going to figure out how far I dropped or went up. Or you could go forwards. I could either go backwards and say that I dropped 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could write a -4 here. Let's do this one this way. And then I ran positive 1, 2, 3. I can always check it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I also could do these from starting at the origin and just seeing how many steps it would take me to get to where I'm going. So for E, I'm right here. And so first I'm going to run 1, 2. And then I'm already at my point, so I don't have to go up or down at all. So that means that my Y is a 0. Okay, what about F? Starting at my origin. I don't need to get to F. I don't need to run at all. It's like I'm already in the right building. So I'm going to say that my X is 0, and then I'm going to drop 1, 2. So my Y is -2. For my G, okay, I'm going to run 1, 2, 3 back. So that's -3. And then I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the most important thing, or the most common mistake found here, is that a lot of people will go up before going, they'll rise before they run. So you want to make sure that you are your little guy here, that he is always, you're always doing your X coordinate first. You're always figuring out which way to go on the horizontal number line before you go up and down. You can also remember that because usually number lines are horizontal. So you're most familiar with this number line. So you can pretend that that's your favorite since it's the one you've used the most. So you always want to show it's your favorite by using that one first and then going up or down. Okay, X, Y, X, Y. The last thing that you need to know, and there's no notes for you on it, but I do want to talk about it, is this lesson is going to, it's going to show you how to use Pythagorean theorem, sometimes how it's used with a coordinate plane. So look at this example. The library is 5 miles north of your house. The post office is 6 miles east of your house. To the nearest mile, how far is the library from the post office? So here we have a coordinate plane. And on this coordinate plane, they said to assume that your house is the origin. It's at 0. And then it told you that the library is 5 miles north. So they counted up 5 spaces and they put a dot there where 5 would be and marked it as the library. And then they said that the post office is 6 miles east. So they went east 6 spots and labeled it as post office. And then they used a ruler to draw a line between the library and the post office. And then you could say, using Pythagorean's theorem, that these would be the legs. So one of the legs is 5, one of the legs is 6, and C is what is unknown. So if you come over here, they put in 5 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared, or c squared. And then they did 25 plus 36, got 61, equals c squared. They found the square root of each, and they found out that c is about 8. So sometimes that is a part of the questions we'll be trying to do, is we will be using a coordinate plane to try and plot the points to figure out what the hypotenuse is, or a leg is. All right, well, that is everything we're going to talk about for right now. So go ahead and get to work.